Hi guys, NJ Tech here with part 1 of this guide on flashing, upgrading and calibrating your multi-rotor ESCs. We're also going to look at one of the alternative firmwares to the hugely popular Oneshot 125 and the one I'm currently running named Multishot. Regardless of what flavour you're interested in, a lot of the same procedures will apply. Now, from a very distant view, ESC calibration hasn't changed in quite a long time, and by that I mean setting your throttle stick to the top, applying power to the ESC, waiting for the calibration tone, and then bringing the throttle stick to the bottom, right? Well, sort of. Whilst there is some merit to that statement, there really is a whole load of devil in the detail, and even if you're a seasoned RC veteran, things seem like they're changing almost daily. So I'm going to do my best to point out what I consider to be the most important bits so you can get the best possible performance and flight experience out of your choice of multi-rotor speed controller. For today's example, I'm going to be using a set of 20 amp FVT Little Bs. Now, I've personally built these into 3 or 4 multi-rotors and I've had nothing but good luck with them, both on Oneshot and Multishot. There are a lot of great alternatives out there, of course, like the DYS, the UBADs, and what seem to be the current king of the hill, which are the KISS ESCs. But these are good all-rounders and plenty of you are running them out there anyway. Now, in terms of what software we need to upgrade and flash our ESCs, you will need to download the BLhelisuite, and there'll be a link in the description for that. Grab the latest version, which is this zip file right here, extract it, and then run the BLheli.exe file to load up the program. You'll also need to have cleanflight configurator up and running, and once you've checked that's all working and communicating just fine, click on the disconnect so that we can free up that COM port for BLhelisuite to use. So before we get going, make sure of course that your props are off, and make sure that your flight battery is disconnected with just the flight controller plugged in via a USB cable, as I have here. Thankfully, how we connect our ESCs to BLhelisuite has become a whole load easier recently using the one-wire pass-through feature, implemented in both this software and betaflight. And what this does is allow your USB connection to your flight controller to pass on the programming data from BLhelisuite straight to all 4 of the connected speed controllers without the need to unplug them individually and connect them to their own separate USB interface. Happy days indeed. So here we are ready to go. I'll say it one more time, please remove your props. The flight battery is not connected and the USB is connected to the flight controller and the computer, so that's all ready to go. So the first thing we need to do is in BLhelisuite just select the correct port. You can see here for me it's COM7, which is the same COM port that cleanflight will use. I've disconnected so that BLheli can use it. And then before I do this as well, up at the top here where it says select Atmel Scilabs interface, you'll be presented with this menu. So in the case of my one with the little Bs here, these are Scilabs based BLheli bootloader loaded. They come loaded with the BLheli bootloader by default, and we are doing this using one-wire pass-through through cleanflight, hence the cleanflight part in brackets. If I was using something like a USB flashing tool and doing these one at a time, then I would be selecting this one here where it says USB COM. So you can see how the different options relate to different things. I did do this for another person where they were running Afro Turnigy speed controllers, the 12 amp speed controllers, and those came with the Simon K firmware, the Simon K bootloader rather, and they were Atmel based, and we had to use the USB linker. And that has changed now. You can actually do this. You can actually do that with the Atmel and the Simon K or BLheli bootloader through cleanflight. That's a fairly recent update. So really you should all be able to find an option here that will work for you. So we're going to select that, and now we're going to click connect. Now for me, as soon as I do this, you can see it's detected 4 ESCs and it says multiple ESCs up here. You may find you need to connect your flight battery to get to this state even. With me, it seems like it's fine just to connect straight off. In order to then read the setup from the ESCs, for me, I will definitely need to now connect a flight pack. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Bear with. So with that done, I'm going to connect, I have connected, I'm going to click read setup. And there we go, we can see we have revision 14.3 multi, and the multi is obviously making reference to multicopter, so we know we have the right firmware on here, and that's and it's even detected that they are FET(b) 20 amps, so that's all good. You will also notice here these are all in sync, and this color difference here, that it's basically the blue shows that this is what it considers to be the master, the one it's just read, and it's also showing a green color for the remaining three to say we're actually also in sync with this one. If you see different colors here, don't worry, it just means that they'll have different, you may have different settings. Each ESC will have a different ppm min throttle and max throttle, even after they've been, well, especially after they've been calibrated, because no two ESCs are absolutely identical. These values will change. Don't worry about it. If you want to flash these one at a time, you can do so by right clicking any one of these, and it will isolate them to read and do whatever it is you need to do with them. And then if you left clicked, you can then choose to do all of them at the same time. So what we'll do here is we'll flash all of them at the same time. You simply go to flash BLheli, and then it's automatically selected the latest available revision. I could choose an earlier one if I wanted to, but it's gone off and found the latest one. And just to double check, you can see it's 14.4 FET(b) 20 amp and multi for multi-rotor. So that's exactly what we want to do to update these onto the latest firmware. So I'm going to click OK, and then just double check the warning, and it says, do you want to flash target ESC1, which is currently on 14.3 to 14.4. We say yes, and there it goes. Okay, so even though this is said successfully done, there are a few little bugs and problems, and again, Windows is not the most stable platform for this, believe it or not. I think the guys that have a lot less trouble are on Linux based builds. But if this does happen, don't worry about it. We're just going to plow on. We'll make a note in our head that that ESC1 had a problem there, or it stopped responding. I'm sure it would have been fine. It may be perhaps the reading side of it that went wrong after it flashed it, just to verify it. So it says here, do you want to write the current settings? No, we're not worried about that. And then it's now automatically moved on to ESC2, and again the same thing. That all looks fine. Yes, we do. And let's see how this one gets on. And this one looks like it's going to have no issue at all. Great stuff. So that was fine. And we want to write the settings. No, we don't. It should now move on to 3. Let's do that. Okay, and yes, okay. Fantastic. And now finally it should ask us for ESC4. Yep, that's fine. Yep. Great stuff. Okay, so the only one that we had an issue with, you can see here it's actually saying that they're all taken absolutely fine, but just for my own peace of mind, I'm going to isolate just by right clicking ESC1, because that's the one where we had that freeze, and I'm just going to do that single one again, just to make sure that there wasn't a problem. So there's no need to disconnect anything, just do the procedure again, and it looks like this time we're absolutely fine. Great stuff. So there we go. We have all 4 now running 14.4. And if I go to read setup again, you see it's read the setup fine. So this is the important part and kind of the defining feature of BLheli and Oneshot 125 is the dampen light, and this is specifically about the motor braking effect. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is, if you've bought your multi-rotor ESC recently and it's one-shot enabled, it's more than likely going to have 14.3 as these ones did, or 14.4, and they all come with damp and light enabled. Now, my own QAVR, although the frame is new, those little Bs I've had because I was using them on my QAV250, and when I bought those, they came with 14.2, and when they came with 14.2, they were set to high. They weren't actually set to damp and light, which is the motor braking feature. And I had to come into this and turn those on to get to obviously have that feature to be able to utilize it. So it's something worth checking if you bought them a while back and you just assumed that motor braking was working, and it's pretty obvious to see when it is, but it is worth just checking. Go in and make sure that damp and light is on. The other nice thing obviously is you can change the motor direction here from normal to reverse, and bidirectional, which relates to 3D. So that's useful. And then of course down here is the motor timing. Now, as a general rule of thumb, and it really is a general rule of thumb, if you're running sub 2300 kV motors, I have found in my own experience that medium timing generally is a better bet. I have tried my race series Emax 2205 2300 kV motors on medium high. I didn't really find any kind of power difference, but I did notice the motors got warmer, which I didn't like, so I went back to medium and everything has been nice and happy since. If you are running 2600 kV motors, again, so I hear, the medium high timings tend to work better. So finally on to Multishot, and it really is much the same procedure. The only difference is this time we need to head over to RS2K's page on the RC Group's forum. Big shout out to RS2K, he really has done just fantastic work with Multishot. This is what I run personally, and moving from one-shot to this, I really felt a difference, and it actually took me a little bit of getting used to because everything felt so much more reactive to me, but I absolutely love it. If you have a look on this page, and I'll put a link in the description, there is plenty of good information on here. Please have a read of it. Also, there are 3 links currently up there, one called Imperial March, one called Fast Start, and one called Crazy Start, and they all relate to the startup tones. So you just choose which one you want. The Fast Start doesn't really have any kind of tune, it just very quickly starts up, so if you prefer that, go for that. And the one I decided to go with is Imperial March, which is the Star Wars related Darth Vader tune, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and it makes me chuckle every time I start my quad up. So once you've downloaded those, well, once you click on that, you'll get the Dropbox page, which is here. Just have a scan. You can see just how many ESCs RS2K is supported here. There is a load. Be very careful, please. Make sure that you pick the correct one, the correct hex file for your ESC. Again, in my case, it's the FVT little b 20 amp multi, and IM is referring to the Imperial March. As you can see here, there is a little b 20 amp Pro. Now this is a different ESC, it's a new one. As I said, just be very sure you're clicking on and saving the correct hex file for you. So once we've done that and we've saved that file, so we've got that hex ready to go, instead of clicking on Flash BLheli, we simply click on Flash Other, and I will just do it with the one ESC here. Click on Flash Other, it will then ask you to browse to a specific place. I've already got mine ready to go here with the file that we just downloaded. I'm going to click open. It will give you a warning here because obviously we're going a little bit off map as far as BLhelisuite is concerned. So just double check all of this and make sure you're good to go, and then go for it. And as you can see, that's gone through absolutely fine with no trouble at all. So with that all done, we should be now good to go. So the last thing to mention is, remember, if you've changed any of these settings, especially with things like motor direction for each ESC, and checking obviously things like dampen light and motor timing, etc. Once that's all good, don't forget to, with each individual ESC, write setup, otherwise it won't be saving any of the things that you've changed. And then finally, the last thing to do is just to disconnect, and if I do that and everything's worked, we should hear our Imperial March tone to confirm that this is all working as those ESCs boot up. So let's give it a go. Fantastic, happy days. So as you can see, that's all worked a treat. I hope that was useful for you, so you know how to flash both flash and upgrade Oneshot and Multishot onto your speed controllers. Please do stay tuned. In the next part we will look at motor calibration, and there is some really important things I want to go over in that. So as always, have fun, and I will see you in the next one.